Good morning, pancakers. Right now you're either buzzed or half asleep, and you know it. My name is Don Rollins. I serve the congregation as interim minister. So glad you're with us today. My pronouns are he and him. So friends, as you are used to this by this point, when we got a really wild 1,000-member cast service, I come say to you, we have a really wild 1,000-member cast service. We do. If you're visiting, it's not quite as circusy. On the other hand, we have a lot of really cool ground to cover today. So we're so glad you're here.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Sarah Walker, and I'm a member of the board here at QUUF. So welcome to this day with Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, a liberal religious congregation founded in 1976 and bound together to serve religious freedom, caring community, and social justice. As we gather, I acknowledge that the water, land, and shorelines here in Port Townsend are the traditional territory of the S'Klallam and Chimicum peoples. We honor and acknowledge our indigenous neighbors and vow to help restore and sustain their homelands. If you're visiting today, I offer a special welcome and invite you to join us for refreshments and conversation in the fellowship hall after the service. We have a newcomers table near the patio doors where our greeters are ready to answer any questions you might have. So may the welcome we offer you be in equal measure to the one in our hearts. We pause briefly to do some essential business within the congregation. General Assembly. Our denomination's annual conference will take place this week. As each assembly comes to a close, a worship service is conducted and offered remotely as well. It's our opportunity to connect with our Unitarian Universalist Association leaders, ministers, and lay leaders. Our congregation will participate again this year, so join us next Sunday at 10 a.m. in person or online as we project the service here in the sanctuary. I have another announcement to make, which is our annual meeting. Hopefully this is on most of your radar. It's today at 12:30. We will require a quorum for that meeting, so despite the beautiful weather, I hope most of you are planning to attend. I think that's all I need to say about it. We have an important motion to approve today, and that's our annual budget for next year. Also, there'll be some presentations of what's been happening over this year and maybe some anticipation for next year as well. So hope you'll be able to attend this informative meeting and participate in the life and governance of this organization. Thank you. Now let us come to this moment. Let us be present with open minds and warm hearts.
My life goes on in endless song. How can I keep from singing? No storm can shake my inmost calm. How can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing?
Good morning. My name is Stephanie or Scotty Scott, and I'm the worship assistant today. And this is Maya, and she's going to help in lighting our chalice with these words adapted from the poet Mary Oliver. If you suddenly feel joy, don't hesitate. Give into it. We are not wise and not very often kind. Still, life has some possibility left. Sometimes something happens better than all the riches or the power in the world. It could be anything, but likely you'll notice it in the instant when love begins. Anyway, that's often the case. Anyway, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not made to be a crumb. Please rise in body and spirit and join us in our opening song, Joy Comes Back, led by Pat Killian.
Okay, first I'm going to teach you the song. It's real easy. Kristina, can you get the... Okay, there we go. See how hard these words are? I want to be ready. 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 When joy comes back to me. When joy comes back to me. Okay, so there'll be a verse come up right after that. It's the same tune. And it's, again, very repetitive. Okay, are we ready? Feel free to move about, have fun, dance if you like. I want to be ready. I want to be ready. The spirit gets low now. The spirit gets low now. The spirit gets low now. The spirit's gonna rise again, 'cause I wanna be ready. I wanna be ready. I wanna be ready when joy comes back to me. I wanna be ready. I wanna be ready. I wanna be ready when joy comes back to me.
Thank you, choir. Thank you, Pat. We can go now. That's good as it gets. Good stuff. Kiddos and other people who want to hear a story, come on down. Good morning. Hello again, everybody. My name is still Don. I still get to be your minister. So glad to see you. So many of you, too. Raise your hand if you got pancakes this morning. All right, this is going to be a challenge. Okay. So, look here, y'all. You know this is a guitar. You know it's got 6 strings, more or less. Let me give you a quick story. But first, don't tell me any rules in your house, because we'll all get in trouble. We can't go there. But do you have rules in your house, or wherever you live? Okay, you do. So mine too. Okay. The reason I asked that is I want to tell you about some rules from my time I was about 5 or 6. Here's the story. Never had a guitar before, so my folks got me a plastic guitar, kind of a toy thing, which was good enough. I kept breaking strings, they kept buying them, and so we were okay. So here's how I learned how to play guitar. This is how I practice. What do you think? That was my practice, yes. That was my practice, yes. Not impressed. Okay, so anyway, that's the guitar piece. I so wanted this instrument, and I finally got one. It was so cool. So over time, I learned some chords, this real simple stuff, but I could actually get sounds out of this thing, which was really cool. And there was a rule. The rule was be done by 8 o'clock every evening. That guitar has got to go quiet every evening at 8 o'clock, no matter what. So I did really well. If I went over a couple of minutes, my folks were good with that. If I went over 10 minutes, I couldn't play guitar until the next time. In other words, I had to skip a night, which seems fair. Deal with the rules. So not happy, but I understand. My folks actually had to go to work. So it turned, and then somebody said, what about the drums? And I thought, I would really like to play drums. Fortunately for my well-adjusted parents, they didn't have room or money for drums, so I'm playing this thing sometime pretty much at that stage. And it occurs to me when I did that, it's kind of drumish. And it is, so why not flip it over then? You could actually drum with this thing. I am now a drummer. And I need to practice, however. So the problem is that this is not quite as loud as... So we had a new rule. The drum has to be done by 7:30 every evening. So here it is. That's your bedtime too? This is impressive here in the land of the midnight sun. So this is really good. So what happened was that I could play guitar till 8, and by 7:30 the drums had to stop. That was the rule. If I went over a little bit, it was fine, but as you just heard, if I didn't, I had to skip a night, which was fair. It was fair. Which was all very cool, very, very cool until, and I will be right back. There we go. A friend of mine got one of these for her birthday. She really, really did not like this instrument, and to tell the truth, neither did her parents. They did not like this instrument. So because, well, here, okay, that's what that is, and over here, that was pretty loud, and then. Sorry about that. So, didn't start there, I started, eventually got okay with that. So now, what do you suppose happens with my time for the evening?
6.
It is now, yes, 7?
I would guess 6:30.
That is a perfect guess. Thank you. So 6:30 was the deadline on that. They cut back a half hour from the other two. They really went crazy about that. And so everything was fine. I learned how to play some of this stuff at least halfway well. I really had a good time with that. But you know, I could still be doing this and this, and except for some rules in my house. And here's why. They made me focus. They helped me get along with other people. They taught me how to do things in a way that kind of, I wanted the music to be as good as I could. So how could I do that? And the awful word is discipline. So I learned how to do that. Here's what I'm going to ask. I'm going to talk to the grown-ups when we finish here. I'm going to talk to grown-ups about some rules and stuff that really help us get along and kind of make things clear. This week, as you go about your lives, whether it's home with the people who take care of you, whether it's school, that's what you do. Just notice some rules and notice that some of them really are helpful. And parents, once again, get these kids in bed by 8 o'clock. So, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. Oh, would somebody start us on Go Now in Peace? I never get the right pitch without Pat. Suppose we're going to get ready.
We pause now for a time of generosity and to receive an offering which today goes to support Chimicum Backpacks for Kids, whose mission is to provide meals and support for at-risk students in our community. They provide child-friendly, shelf-stable weekend food bags for the Chimicum School District students. 3 out of 4 children in the district rely on the nutrition of this meal program, of the free and reduced meals during the school week. By providing weekend food bags, Chimicum Backpacks for Kids feeds children who often go hungry on the weekend. This school year, and this is an amazing number, this school year the need has increased with an average of 145 to 150 bags being distributed each weekend. Thank you for your support in helping to feed the children in our area. The ushers will receive the offering, and additional ways for supporting our congregation will be projected on the wall behind me.
almost every time we're together, we pause to share deep things that are going on in our lives, those of others. This is the time where we begin to think about the things that we can talk about here maybe and not anywhere else, because we can be deep, we can be who we are. The first stone is always placed to represent something or someone beyond the congregation. And today we recognize all who reflect fatherhood in our lives. Some of that painful, we acknowledge that as well. Some traditional roles, others not. We also continue to mark Pride Month. We anticipate Juneteenth 2026, that's this Friday, by the way, on the 19th. And so we say, let's stay the course. Let's stay the course of liberation as we mark this month and Friday. Course of liberation and of dignity and of equity. We place this final stone to signify all the other stuff that's going on with us in this room, but goes unspoken. All those joys, all those sorrows, they are welcome here, as are you.
Good morning, I'm Jane Hogue, pronouns she and her. In just a moment, Leslie and the choir will grace us with more music. But first, let's pause to remind ourselves that joy is both a feeling and a choice, that we are not bystanders to goodness and wonder. In that spirit, let's share these words adapted from 20th century Hindu teacher, peacemaker, and guiding light, Mahatma Gandhi. I'll read the plain text if you'll read the italicized. Okay. O thou, dweller in my heart, open it out, purify it, make it bright and beautiful.
Awaken it, prepare it, make it fearless, make it a blessing to others.
Rid it of laziness, free from doubt.
Unite it with all, be free of its bondage.
Let thy peaceful music permeate all its works.
Make my heart full of joy, full of joy, full of joy.
May Gandhi's example find place in our hearts. May we too leave this world full of joy. Our special music this morning is For Good by Stephen Schwartz.
One of my early ministry mentors, Carl, used to tell me that he wasn't so sure about God or Jesus, but he believed in the Holy Spirit. And when we connect, like these good musicians have just gifted us with, I'm reminded, at least for me, I believe in the Holy Spirit. My old school Appalachian dad climbed electric poles for the better part of 35 years. Burning sun, freezing cold, thunder and lightning across the sky. My old man braved them all. Every July, we traveled up U.S. Route 23 to attend the picnic of International Brotherhood, brackets, of Electrical Workers. And every year, it just kept getting bigger. And I mean bigger. So what started out as an informal potluck around a small kettle of bean soup was expanding now to a few dozen and eventually to a few hundred. Things got more complicated. Energy was drained. Arguments over who did what and when and why. And over that time, things started slipping through the cracks when it came to this getting together. And according to my dad, the saving grace came when the union bosses had seen this for long enough. They put together a simple organizational chart, complete with tasks to be done by whom and when. They made a pattern for how to get and stay focused. In other words, they brought some rules. One more thing, all of this was lost on kids like me who, after 3 gigantic bites of pie, streaked down the lane to the pool or the skating rink. We could care less about organization. We came to swim, we came to skate, we came to annoy our siblings without our parents present. We ourselves would be spared the intricacies of committee meetings for a good long time. We didn't care. We were too young to connect, but looking back now, I do connect. I do connect the work of those folk who thought through how we do stuff together and how we be together and how we smile and how we do stuff. So when we're planning for this service, I suggested a different title. It was something like Governance, Schmovernance, Who Cares? You'll be surprised to know that the people who are going to speak to you turned that down within seconds. It was an awkward moment. And I got us into this mess this morning because I asked the board to create a task force to study how Unitarian Universalists and other congregations figure out who they are. How do they do governance? What a word, in 2026. The task force original mission was just that. Look around for any improvements on the shared ministry model currently in place at the congregation, put there roughly 8 years ago now. So find out what else is out there. Figure it out. Flesh them out. Flesh those things out. Make recommendations so we can sunset our work. And then we were basically asked to take a technical approach to our work. Focus on the challenges congregations can solve on their own. Technical referring to you have the resources you need to make the decisions to go ahead. Problem was, as we got deeper into it, that the congregation does not have everything it needs to be able to evaluate that new governance system. Try to stay awake with me. But look at the things that you can solve. With the help of committed leaders, you have met your financial goal for 2026-27. That is technical in motion. We know how to do it. Let's go do it and get it done, and look at you. You can do that. That is technical leadership. We tried that for a few meetings, but folks, it just felt hollow. It felt hollow because it's such a big topic. How people will be together, how they will decide to put their resources together, how they will, share power together. It's a big deal. So we tried that, and we tried just putting a patch on the tire, but it didn't feel right. We didn't think we were serving you well, frankly. So clearly, what is in the congregation's best long-term interest is to start a long-term discussion about what it means to do governance, what it means to be together. Think about the current identity, the challenges, the strengths, the step into the world of adaptive thinking, where people come together to pose large questions And sometimes they haven't a clue what the answers will look like. But they've got to ask the questions. They feel it, they know it. That is adaptive stuff. Where they ask questions like I'm asking you to ask, and that is, who needs you right now? Seriously, folks, think about that. Who needs you most right now? And how do you adapt to answer that question in a way that feels right and honors our Unitarian Universalist way of being? Who needs you right now? Whose lives are being changed because of you? Think about that one. Whose lives are you changing? And here comes the last one. Are we good partners to a groaning planet? Those are big questions. They are not technical questions. We can just plug something in. We begin to say this is the work of liberal religion, and it is hard, and we can do this together. So we submitted a report. Not all of us even agreed with the report. That was never the goal. The goal was never to speak with one voice. The goal was to meet understandable expectations for a technical report. I have gotten pressure about that, by the way, complete with possible action steps. Lots of that, too. But it didn't seem right. So we had to talk about adaptive leadership, adaptive governance, to reverse the order, to first of all let the questions guide what changes come next, as opposed to changes shaping ministry. In other words, start with who needs us right now and see what the models look like after that. One more thing. Even in the swampy places, we had some great laughs, and that's why you see the words governance and joy in the same sentence. And why would we do that? Because we know the closer a congregation comes to one another and the mission and vision they put on paper, that's where the magic is. That's where the Holy Spirit resides. Phil. You're the only Phil in the room, so please go ahead.
Well, you know, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to think about governance and think about joy in the same sentence. But where does joy come into this congregation anyway? Well, you just have to look at our most forward-looking goal, which is our vision. And it says, a courageously inclusive, multi-generational, spiritual community in a joyfully interconnected world. Okay? Joyfully interconnected. I like that. Our covenant also challenges us to be a joyful community. Okay? So I understand the multi-generational and spiritual, and we've got teams and committees looking at that type of thing. And I said, with all the dozens of committees, teams, and councils, task force, other groups that we have, there's got to be one with the responsibility for joy, right? Only makes sense. And so when we went through our charter, we made it a priority both to be those people and see if there just happens to be a committee on joy somewhere. Do you want to take it from here? Or do you want me to continue?
You mean to read the part that I skipped? Is that what you're asking me?
Okay. The original governance task force was formed in 2018. They started thinking about the fact that we were growing and we needed a new model to help with the growth that we had. At one point, we reached over 400 people, and we had a very simple type of organization. The board was the governance, and the board was getting consistently overburdened, and things weren't happening, and they just felt totally swamped. And so, after study, the task force began work on a shared ministry model based on two distinct but overlapping branches. Let's see, do we have any slides in there, Christina? We do. And there's one. That's it. That's basically what we have, what we had. We had any question you had basically ended up at the board. The board was in our bylaws, which the congregation created. The board was the governance for the community. And so that begins, oh, by the way, you can see that the congregation up there, they all got smiling, joyful faces, but the board is kind of overwhelmed. You can see they lost all their expression. But anyway, that's what we did have. But if we looked at the shared governance model, which is this, looks awfully the same, has a lot of the same players, but the board is now responsible for the visionary part of the governance, looking ahead, trying to find that balance of what does this congregation need to do for ourselves and for the community. And a governance policy then is written, and the policies that the board writes are sort of like laws. I consider them laws, the rules. Here's the rules. And they delegate responsibility to the ministry side. And so the ministry side is basically responsible for all of the ordinary day-to-day functions of the church that are not the visionary functions of the church. And the bylaws have governed all of this as written by the congregation. The congregation, by the way, retained a few things for themselves, the ability to vote on a number of important things, like changes, like approving the budget, which is going to happen later today. And they have a couple committees of their own dealing with specific aspects. So anyway, that is the shared ministry that we have. The minister is responsible for the side that is called the ministry of all the day-to-day operations of the congregation. Now, let's see. You know, we have this model that we started with, and we started it in 2018, and it's been continually adjusted by governance committees and boards and organic tweaks that make it easier for all concerned. But the sharing of responsibilities has really served us well. It has allowed the board to focus on the bigger issues. There's more to know and tell about why governance can actually be a fun thing. The smoother the system, the more energy will be freed up to deliver on the mission. And the more energy we have, the more joy we can give and receive. And I think that is the end of my part.
As folks come forward, I just want to let you know this is Phil Burwell, member of the Governance Review Task Force. So I skipped that particular piece of introducing him. By the way, it was Phil who suggested the Joy Governance Connection. So thank you for putting that in play. So look it. Let me tell you where we are, and I'm going to migrate down there so we can be together. Yes, if you would, the microphone. Got everything else you need. So these are the folks. And folks, if you would, introduce yourself. Give us your names.
Introduced.
Oh, are we introducing ourselves?
We are.
But Don did such a... Oops, we got
You gotta put it right up to your mouth.
I'll put it right up to my mouth.
Yeah. We are a subtle staff, are we not, Christina?
All the dummies on stage. Anyway, Don already introduced me, so I'll just pass it on.
Yeah.
Well, and I already introduced myself, Jane Hogue.
Well, and I get to introduce myself. I'm Patrick Johnson, and I want all of you to know that I did get a haircut to remind myself to keep it short. And I also want to let you know that I was absolutely ecstatic, beyond joy, bordering on delusional, when Don asked me to be part of this group.
As I said earlier, Pat, if you want to finish that haircut, let me know. I can. I only have one haircut, but it is. So, friends, thanks for hanging in. It has not always been an easy road, certainly not a clear path. So I thank you for your work, and I thank you for your presence today. I have some questions, and sorry if I'm blocking some folk. I have some questions. Some of you have seen these. And others, just go where you will. I am aware of time, of course, so let's stay focused, you and me. So what I asked, one of the questions I think is really important, what are two of the key challenges that you see we could address right now in terms of governance? And I'm not going to read those back, folks. I'll let you summarize for yourself because I have some responses. But talk to us a little bit about two key challenge areas around governance.
Well, the two are, the first of the two is a technical challenge, and that involves just putting things together, to writing things, to doing the straightforward part of it, if you will. And that's a very challenging thing to do, to make it lively, to make it exciting, to make it responsive. But it's essential because that lays a foundation for everything that is to come after that. And Jane, I'll let you do the second part, or Phil.
I think it's Phil.
You can do that. We have to review what our spontaneous responses are.
Good point. And all the papers I brought, I didn't bring a copy of the script. So adaptive challenge is we have heavy structure around the ministry side, a great many teams and councils. So the question is, are we right-sized for our current needs? Can we do without some parts? Can we, combine forces and have maybe fewer committees? Make it easier for finding leadership for those groups. These are adaptive questions, and we have to explore them together over a period of time. It's not something three people can sit in a room in isolation and figure out. So.
Then I think that's all I have
Okay.
to add.
Bill, anything to add
Phil has.
on some changes?
Nope, I think we're done. We're
good.
waiting for the next one.
Okay, my favorite answer. So this is a loaded question that you put in play, Phil. Did you find a committee on joy? Team on joy? Task force on
We
joy?
looked and looked, but no. What we did find was that all religious leaders, most philosophers, and poets, they place a high value on joy. But, not so much our councils, committees, and teams. Joy is a deeply personal state of being. Each day, each person has to decide for themselves to be open to joy. What we can do is provide a space that nourishes joy, a space that doesn't always have to be productive. One of the things that I wanted to bring up is when I talked about spiritual leaders, here is a children's book that I own. It's called The Little Book of Joy. And it's written by His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Now, if you've ever seen those two together, you know that they are bringing joy to all of those around them. That's one of their primary purposes in life, I believe. They feel that way. And on the back it says, if you look around, you will see that joy is everywhere. And this has some wonderful illustrations in it. It's very colorful. The last page, which is what I'm looking at, is a group of people, children and adults, dancing their way along, surrounded with streamers, colored streamers, rainbow-colored streamers, with birds flying around and butterflies and flowers in the air, and it's an extremely joyful place to be.
It's a good read.
It's a good read.
All righty. So here comes the question that came to us early, not just in our work, but early on in my ministry, even virtually, going back to last August through the end of the year. Now, it was a question, are we letting go of all the work we've done to install the current system of governance? I think Patrick was taking the lead on that one.
Yeah. Well, absolutely not. And on that note, it's imperative and important that we acknowledge not only the work, but also the people that took on this task in 2018, just on the verge, on the eve of COVID. I was part of that group, and I want to also acknowledge Ann Weaver, Francis LeBaire, and Cynthia Becker. I might add that Cynthia and Ann showed up one day, and we were meeting twice a week, if you could imagine that. You got to really love this stuff to meet twice a week. I did work for the government for 30 years, and I really liked meetings. That's how we did work. Although I took my daughter Megan to work one day, and we went to meetings, and she said, "What do you do?" And I said, "We go to meetings." And she said, "What do you do in meetings?" And I said, "Well, we talk about stuff." And then I said, "Well, it's kind of like going to school, except you don't have to raise your hand to go to the bathroom." And anyway, I also want to acknowledge Larry Morrell. And Larry became the board chair along that way sometime. And Larry took the recommendations that we made and codified them. He put them into policy, worked a little bit on the bylaws, and none of what we did in governance would work if it wasn't written down someplace. And so we owe a great deal of thanks to Ann and to Cynthia and to Larry and the many other people that were involved in that process. And we did not toss out. In fact, we built heavily on what has been already done, and we'll continue to do that in the years that come. And we've already talked about the adaptive part of governance. I might add, by the way, governance is a term that comes from both the Greek and the Latin peoples, and it means to guide, to steer, and to pilot. And there is joy in governance, and the joy comes from people that we work with to make this happen. And again, we're much in debt to all of the people that have been in this process for a long, long time.
Thank you, Pat. I'll keep us moving, and thank you for that affirmation. Nobody came here, certainly not me, to do away with the system. It's a matter of, can we take a look at it? Next question, y'all. How does our governance model compare to congregations of a similar size?
That's me? Oh, okay. We are using a well-established model, policy-based, divided governance, widely used in other religious communities. Each version is a little bit different, but by studying those communities, we can learn from their successes and missteps. We face two key adaptive challenges. We have more ministerial changes ahead. We have an interim minister now, and that, by definition, means there are changes ahead. We need our governance system to be clear, strong, and understood by as many of us as possible, even for those who hear the word governance and cover their ears and go get coffee. And so this need is coupled by our currently unrealistic expectations of a single minister. We want them to be both a full-time head of staff and a spiritual leader. We need both ministries, but we're asking one person to do that. The other challenge is we have, this might be shocking to some of you, we have an aging congregation. It's shocking to me, especially when I look in the mirror. And this puts additional stress on leaders. to fill more than one position. And so this goes back to the questions about right-sizing our governance structure.
Anything else? Let's keep rolling. So one of the things that I ask, kind of an exit thing with teams, the task force I work with, is what surprised you? Things that you found out that you either kind of knew or didn't know at all. What things surprised you in this work?
Okay, well, you know, it's hard to put our vision, mission, and covenant into daily priorities. And where we're working on committees or councils, teams, sometimes it's easy to kind of lose track of those guiding words. And so those are really important to integrate into our everyday life. But thinking about what you said earlier, Don, what is it we can do for people right now? What's the difference we wish to make in the daily life of our members and in the broader community? How do we move in the same direction? There needs to be a lot of discussion. Another thing that surprised me, and shared ministry in our model, you know, between the minister and the board and the congregation, is kind of a high-level thing. And I was surprised to kind of see the connection between shared governance and shared ministry on the congregational side. And so when our shared governance systems are good and efficient and clear, it's so much easier for the congregation to take part in the shared ministry. And so that was kind of a surprise for me, and I might be late to the game, but it was a connection for me.
One thing that became very real for me, it was not necessarily a surprise, but more of an affirmation. It's one thing to talk about governance, and we've talked about some of the details about why we have it, but good governance is a pathway. It's a pathway for all of us to pursue whatever spiritual goal that we have. And if we have a good governance structure here, that means that all of us here at QUF who care very deeply about this place and about one another have a solid foundation in which to pursue our own spiritual path. And I think that's very, very important. And that was reaffirmed for me, and I think for the others too.
Sure. I think one of the things that surprised me was, and Don gave us the language to be able to talk about that, was the difference between adaptive and technical challenges. And sometimes you recognize the difference, and if you don't take the right approach, if you're taking an adaptive approach to a technical challenge, you won't get very good results, and the other way around, but they both need to coexist. Sometimes the answer is a little bit of both.
I'm watching time, friends. So stuff that you learned or came up with or heard that you can take with you as you continue, because you're all three in leadership positions. Are there things you picked up in this process that you can take with you now? Is there a walkaway with the work that you've seen or done?
Give it to Phil. Actually, one of the things that I took from this process and thinking it through is, and it is real, we're not here to stress ourselves out. We're not here to shorten our lives with so much stress. We're here to have put a little bit of joy in it and be surrounded by people that we like and admire. And so as we looked at this, I started to really think about how we can put joy into each day. I mean, we read a poem to start and end each governance committee meeting, and find that it really gets people out of the world that they were in going into the meeting and helps them open their mind to what is possible. And it's things like that that can add to the joy of being in service.
And I think for me, remembering to be in the moment, to be open to joy, whether it happens during the check-in of a meeting or an accomplishment that the group has achieved, because my mind tends to like skip ahead to what's next. After this, what's next? And so to take forward that, to be in the moment and let joy in, I guess.
It's always good to hear the word joy. I'm reminded of, I think it was Myanmar, a country who actually measures joy in terms of their gross domestic product. They have lots of other things going on there that aren't so good, but just think about that. A GDP of joy, I think that's an extraordinary thing. But in the end, it's all about relationships. Everything we do is based on relationships, and the joy for me comes from hanging out with lots of you and spending way too much time with these guys. And so anyway, that's I work really hard, and it really I'd be lying if I said I enjoyed all the time together. But it was it was a really fun experience in many ways, and I think we did some good stuff.
Friends, thank you so much for all the work you put in. Not everybody here knows. Your partners or friends know what you put in. And I certainly do. So thank you for your work you do in one of the toughest areas to explain. You've done a really good job. So thank you much. In the Appalachian foothills of Ohio, where I come, from which I come, there are all these wonderful old mountain songs that go back to the 1920s and 30s. Some of them are just joy, some of them are broken hearts, some may have to do with the rowdy side of life. There is one that has always stood out. It got to be famous by the Carter family, made it famous. If you're not aware of the Carter family, look at A.P. Carter and Maybelle Carter. Do a search. You're going to find out some really very just interesting stuff, these folks. One of the gifts that came not from them, but through them, is Keep on the Sunny Side. You may know that song a little bit. It is a gospel standard, and it was sung in the evangelical churches of my youth. It was a source of encouragement, folks. I can't tell you how this was a balm, a B-L-M, salve for life. The lyrics come to us from Ada Blenkenhorn, 1858-1927, put to music by J. Howard Entwhistle, that was 1866-1903. I have adapted a bit to meet the times. What say we sing? Rise as you're willing and able. I am going to go ahead and sit Christina because my strap currently lives in the car.
It's actually on the floor over here.
As I said, it actually is to my right on the floor. Thank you, Patrick. You're the man. So let us sing. I'll give you the melody really quickly. Uh-oh. I'm going to plug here. I'll give you the melody really quickly. Melody goes something like this. There's a cold and stormy side of life. There's a bright and sunny side too. Though we meet with the darkness and strife, the sunny side we also may view. Chorus goes, keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten all our way. If we keep on the sunny side of life. There's gold and trouble inside life, but there's a bright and sunny side too. Don't be mean with cold and dry. That sunny side ought to obey you. So let's keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten all our way. If we keep on the sunny side of life. Storms and their fury rose today, crushing hopes that we cherish so dear. Storms and clouds, the storm pass away. All that sun again will shine bright and clear. So let's keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten all our way. Keep on the sunny side of life. Let's just keep on the sunny side of life. One more. But we'll keep on the sunny side of life.
Our closing words are from poet Donna Ashworth. They are titled, Joy Comes Back. When you finally realize that joy is less fireworks, more firefly, less orchestra, more birdsong, she will come back much more often, for joy will not fight with the fast pace of this life. She is not in the shiny or the new. She breathes in the basic, simple, simmers in the simple, and dances in the daily to and fro. Joy has been beckoning you for many a year, my friend. You were just too busy doing to see. The very next time, joy wraps her quiet warmth around you as the garden embraces your weary body in its wilderness. Tip her a nod. You cannot force her to stay, but if you are a gracious host, joy comes back. Please join us in our chalice lighting words. Please join us in our chalice extinguishing words. Extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, or the power of transformation. These we carry in our hearts until we are again.
Thank you, Scotty. Some of you may know that YouTube does not always like every piece of music that I want to use. So we were going to do something very different today. And then that one fell through, and then the second one fell through. So you were stuck with some pretty funky blues. Good news is I'll keep it short.